Good evening. It is now 6:01 on August 19th, 2025. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Planning Board. The Planning Board is a 7-member board. Any special permit decision of this board requires a 2/3 vote. 2/3 of a 7-member board is 5. If only 5 members vote, the vote will have to be unanimous. Any decision on preliminary and definitive plans, approval not required, and proposed zoning amendments requires a majority vote of the full board. Any decision on scenic road permits requires a majority of the quorum present. Any person giving testimony must state and spell their name and provide their street address for the record. All questions from the public should be directed through the chair. This meeting is live and streamed on Sandwich Community Television's website and on local channel 9. This meeting is being recorded and will be available on the Sandwich Community Television website at www.sandwichtv.org tomorrow. According to town bylaw, meetings are audio recorded. If anyone intends to also record, kindly notify the chair. Is there anyone that intends to record? Let's, at this time, let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We just started, so we're going to move on to the next item on the agenda, which is to review and approve 2 planning board meeting minutes that were prepared. Those minutes include the May 20th, 2025 date and the August 5th, 2025 date. Does anyone have any changes or suggestions? There's one thing of note, it's very small. I think it's on the May 20th minutes. I should have just told you in person, but ahead of time. But I think it says Ms. Jensen, and I felt like we should just make sure it ensures that it says Mr. Jensen. I can let you know where that is. Yeah, I'll let you know after the meeting. Okay, and the next item on the agenda. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. If there are no additions or changes needed, I will ask for a vote or a motion to approve.
Should we do them separately?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can do a motion to approve the May 20th.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the minutes from the May 20th, 2025 meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. And at this time, I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes from the August 5th, 2025 meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the August 5th, 2025 meeting.
Second. Any, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries. Next item is the submission of new plans. And I would just ask if is anyone here from the public with the intent to submit a new plan. Hearing none, we can move on to the next item. Old business. I don't believe we have any old business to discuss at this time. And we do have some new business. Item number 5. We can start with that. Before we do start, I will just make a couple of comments regarding this item. This item is 54 Route 6A, a special permit by Sura Standard Energy LLC. This is for the purpose of a large-scale ground-mounted solar photovoltaic installation. We do have a quorum issue this evening regarding this application. We do have a vacancy currently on the planning board, and we are unfortunately missing 2 members this evening. There is a process that we are able to offer regardless, and we are going to go forward in our discretion to open the meeting to allow those members of the public to be heard this evening, because we do feel it's important that the members of the public who are here, as well as the applicant, be able to have ample opportunity to present the information that they wish to this evening.
Should we summarize?
Yes, that would be great.
So-
Thank you, Steve.
To provide a general summary from the staff perspective and the procedural history of the project here before you, originally in 2023, the applicant, being in the business limited 1 zone, moved forward with a solar project to get approval from the Historic District Committee, which they were granted, but the project was not constructed at that time. So after 1 year, that lapsed. The applicant came forward again with a similar project. This is at 248 kilowatt hours, so it was below the threshold for planning review. Again, went before the Historic District Committee, was granted a certificate of appropriateness up through that process, and that was what they needed within this district to go
What was the
forward.
date of that second meeting with the historic?
I would have to look that up, because within the last couple months.
Last couple of months?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
And Steve, just for a procedural process, I think we do technically have to request that the board open the hearing itself.
Thank you. You're right.
And I missed that, my apologies. There are also, so there's a public hearing notice that I'll read. All right, so the Town of Sandwich public hearing notice by the planning board is the following. The Sandwich Planning Board will hold a public hearing on the application of Sura Standard Energy LLC applicant and Kirti Patel, property owner, for a special permit for property located at 54 Route 6A, Sandwich, Massachusetts, Assessor's Map number 87, parcel number 68, for the purpose of a large-scale ground-mounted solar photovoltaic installation. The public hearing will be held on August 19, 2025 at the Sand Hill School Community Center, 16 Dewey Avenue, Sandwich, Massachusetts at 6 p.m. Public record information can be viewed at the Planning and Development Office. Now I would ask for a motion to open the public
I
hearing at
make a
this time.
motion, I'm sorry. Gee, I'm really anxious.
We're working together.
I want to make a motion to open the public meeting on Surya Standard Energy's application.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? And then we do have comment memos to read. Would I go ahead and do that now? Okay, thank you very much. Let's see, just want to make sure I have. I don't see them in my folder. Oh, that's right. Take a side. Okay, all right. Okay, this memorandum was prepared from Sam Jensen and town engineer, dated August 13th, 2025, with the subject of 54 Route 6A Solar Special Permit, Surya Standard Energy LLC, parcel 87-068. The engineering department has reviewed the subject application and offers the following. Number 1, assessor's records indicate that the subject parcel is owned by Sandwich Resort Realty Trust. The quitclaim deed found at the registry reference gives and identifies Kirti Kumar Patel as trustee. A portion of the subject site drains to abutting property off Tyler Drive. This area is known to experience drainage issues. It is recommended that the applicant's engineer provide a plan that identifies the methods to be employed for stabilizing the site and managing stormwater runoff during construction and post-construction. Item 3, panel heights relative to ground surface are not clearly identified on the application materials reviewed. It is recommended that this be clarified on the plan. Item 4, the site plan indicates that several large trees are located on the property near the southern and eastern boundaries and within or near the 25-foot setback area. It is recommended that the applicant clarify whether these trees are to remain. Number 5, it is recommended that the applicant clarify whether any supplemental screening is proposed. Number 6, regarding the operation and maintenance plan, it is recommended that the plan specifically address stormwater controls and erosion controls as per section 4186.i of the zoning bylaw. The section corrective repairs appears vague regarding responsibility and time frame for work beyond 1 hour of the inspecting technician's time on site. It is recommended that the plan clarify the responsibility and time frame for all routine maintenance, corrective work, and other measures that may be required. That concludes the memo from Sam Jensen. We have a second memo from Heather Gallant, dated Tuesday, July 29th, 2025, sent to Maureen McCabe of the Planning Department with the same subject, request for comment, 54 Route 6A, solar special permit. Good morning. The applicant would have to demonstrate that this project is not going to impact, cover, or block access to any portion of the septic system. Thank you. And then signed, Heather Gallant, Director of Public Health for the Town of Sandwich. And then I do have a third sent from Andrew Mandel of the Sandwich Fire Department, dated Monday, July 28th, 2025, sent to Maureen McCabe of the Planning Department. Morning, Maureen. The fire department would require a fire lane as well as a Knox box on the gate in order to access the solar panels. Signed by Andrew Mandel. And then finally, we have a public comment sent to the Sandwich Planning Board, which from the abutters to 54 Route 6A for the large-scale ground-mounted solar photovoltaic installation. We would like to ask the board to take into consideration the effects on the abutters in the neighborhood and offer our following concerns for your review. First, Planning Historical Commission review process error. No notice received regarding the Historic Commission review of this project by at least 3 abutting addresses. Further, it states request process be halted until abutters are provided with proper notice and a complete Historical Commission discussion is conducted in a public forum. The lack of notice received means the Sandwich Lodge has been given preferential treatment when compared with its neighbors. 2, health risks to neighboring residents. Electromagnetic fields emitted by this installation could increase the risk of cancer in an area that has a history of being a cancer cluster. EMFs also increase the rate of dizziness, nausea, headaches, disorientation with brain fog. 3, light damage, light pollution risk, solar glare into abutting yards and interference with night and sky gazing. 4, chemical pollution risk, pesticides used to control vegetation under the devices. 5, noise pollution risk. The primary source of sound in a system is the inverter, which converts DC electricity from the solar panels into AC electricity for the grid. Inverters produce a low humming or buzzing sound during operation, particularly during daylight hours when electricity generation is at its highest. Strong winds can cause rattling or whistling sounds if the mounting structures are not securely installed or if the panels have loose components or inadequate spacing. What will the guaranteed maintenance response time be for these issues? Rain or hail hitting the panel surfaces can create a tapping or drumming noise. It's okay, I'm just gonna pull it. Pest control issues, rodent problem as a result of the installation, as this is currently an issue, which will only be increased during the construction period. Risk of negative financial impacts to abutters. Increased difficulty with selling homes. Industrial installation will limit the pool of potential buyers. Many buyers will not consider this neighborhood due to the eyesore and associated issues of having an industrial use within a historic community. Negative impact to home values. Areas with industrial solar installations show an average loss of value in home prices of 5% in a half to 1 mile radius of these industrial installations. Preferential treatment of Sandwich Lodge. Their desire to maximize their income should not come to the detriment of the neighbors, their home values, health, quiet enjoyment, and more. Outstanding questions. According to the memo, what is the proposed buffer zone? Tax base, we currently have the highest taxes on the Cape. This installation would negatively impact our home values and quiet enjoyment of our yards. Will the town reduce the valuation of our homes by 5% to offset the loss in value as a result of this installation? Industrial facility in residential neighborhood. During winter months, the abutters view will be directly of the proposed large-scale industrial installation. They see Google Earth view on page 2. Zoning change, installation inconsistent with historic nature of Sandwich. Industrial installation will be visible from Tyler Drive and may be visible from 6A after they have been installed. A typical Cape Cod motel, in keeping with the character of the community, is consistent with commercial zoning, whereas a large-scale installation of solar panels should be considered a change in use. The installation could also be considered spot zoning, since it singles out a specific property for different treatment than surrounding properties without a legitimate public purpose. This could place the town at risk for violating the state zoning act and the principle of equal protection under the law. Okay. That completes the memo submitted from abutters. Okay. So at this time, let's return to Steve. If you could go back to the summary you were
Sorry,
explaining.
thank you. Sorry for being so wildly out of order.
Oh, no. We're all working through this.
So to recap, I'll start. So again, 2023, the motel originally approached the Historic District Committee with a plan to install a sub 250 kilowatt generating solar photovoltaic installation. Being in the BL1 district, the Historic District Review and the building permit were the requirements to do so. So they were granted a certificate of appropriateness by the Historic District Committee in 2023, but that's only valid for a year. So the project was not constructed and that permit lapsed. In 2025, they reapproached with a similar installation at 248 kilowatt hours, proposing that. That also underwent Historic District Committee review, and in July it was granted a certificate of appropriateness, and a building permit was issued for that installation. They've discussed increasing the capacity to 278 kilowatt hours. It's an increase of just under 30 kilowatt hours. That exceeds the threshold for planning board review and meets the definition of a large-scale ground-mounted solar. So that triggered this process that we're in now to review the installation. Since the original plan was submitted, a second set of plans has come in. We had a staff meeting to discuss the scope of the review of the planning board, looking at the project as a whole, whereas the original smaller capacity project was authorized through the other process. The special permit would cover, of course, the whole facility. So that's what's before you. We do have the updated plans to present. The buffer on the original layout that's in the plan set that you have is 25 feet at the minimum. That does vary a little bit. The subsequent set of plans shows a 40-foot buffer, but a more densely compacted array of solar panels. So we can view both of these. The applicant is in attendance this evening and can provide additional information if you'd like.
Steve, my understanding you to say that because of the 30 some odd kilowatt increase, that's why we're here at the planning board. Had they not done that, it just would have been approved
That's correct.
to go forward. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Welcome.
And Sam, would you like to be heard or have any comments?
Really, I
application.
have nothing more at this time, other than this is my first look at the updated materials. So this is something that I would need a little more time.
Right. All right, and at this time, we could hear from the applicant. Thank you. Yes, please come to the table, and when you do, if you could, state your name, spell your name, and provide your address for purposes of the record.
Thank you. My name is Amanullah, and I'm the CEO of Surya Standard Energy LLC. I just wish to go back to 2023, as Steve was talking about. We had applied for the interconnection to the utility in April of 2023, but prior to that, we did ask for the HCD, and once it was approved, we applied for the interconnection. The interconnection took 2 years and 3 months. Unless we had the interconnection, we could not have come back asking for the permit. When I came back to the permit, then the planning board said that you have to reapply for the HCD, and then we did. So the gap was because we were waiting for the utility to give us interconnection permission and approval, before which we couldn't do anything. So once that is done, we came, and then the customer decided that we have a lot of electricity consumption. If we can increase it by allowable numbers, so that's why the 278.18 came into the picture. So that is one. I also, with your permission, I actually did a comparative study of the solar panel efficiency improvement since 2015 to 2025. And I submitted a letter to the planning department along with, as a information. And that basically my engineering calculation says that the 250 kilowatt DC, the amount of area and the amount of panel on the ground now fits 360 kilowatt DC. Because of the improved efficiency, the same area and same surface area of the panel can now go up to 364. We are only asking for 30 extra kilowatt. So if you're looking at the 2015 time frame, then then we are with the efficiency and the area, we are doing much smaller than 250. So in the same area that it would have taken in 2015, on a 250 kilowatt DC, would have taken a much larger area and much larger surface area of the panel. But because of these 10 years of efficiency improvements and the capacity improvement, we have actually reduced the land requirement to reach 250. So that one note I had shared with the planning board. The planning board also suggested that we do a decommissioning note and see how much it would cost. So the civil PE actually did a note just today, and first, thankfully, before the meeting, and I did send it to the planning board saying, sorry we got delayed, but this note is there.
We did receive that today.
Oh, thank you. So my request is that this is a very small system. We have got the permit, but we thought that if we get the 30 kilowatt extra approval from the board, it would be better we just do it in one time. So that's the request.
I am curious if you had a chance to review did you ever have a chance to see the memo that was submitted by the fire department?
I probably missed it, so
okay.
I have not reviewed it.
Okay.
I probably missed the memo. I am going to really go ahead and I just heard it for the first time. Maybe I missed it somehow. But I'll definitely go and respond to each of those questions.
Yes, because there were quite a few questions, I think, that were being posed by the butters, and I think it
Right.
might be prudent to have an opportunity to let you address those
Right, please,
concerns.
I will do that.
And also, it sounds like there were concerns expressed not only by Mr. Jensen, but also by the fire department, and so it may be
Yeah, absolutely. I will answer all those questions.
to provide that comprehensive information.
Yes.
I don't know if anyone from the board.
I have a question. I want to make sure I understand this. So, and maybe one of you can answer this for me. So it sounds like because of the efficiencies, the amount of space has not increased. So the reason this is considered large scale is because of the voltage.
Right, the criteria in the bylaw is 250 kilowatt hours or above of generating
So
capacity.
it's not space, it's basically voltage.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
May I, if you don't mind? So basically, the interconnection, if you look at those 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 on the right, on the top, those are called inverters, right? The inverters on the top, there is a inverter 1, inverter 2, inverter 3. Now, those inverters are basically fixed inverters. There are 4 of them, and those are 200 kilowatt AC. Now, the technology allows you to have a 200 kilowatt AC. In the same inverter, you could do 248 DC, 255, 260, 270, 280, up to 300 DC you can do on the same inverters. Voltages are going to be based on the output voltage, the secondary voltage of that inverter. All the voltages within the panel, it's called DC. DC voltages are basically 1000 volts, whether it is one panel or 100 or 200 or 300. They're all in a series of wires and they're taking the same voltage. The voltage outside the inverter is 208, whether it is 250, 240, 210, 200 or 300. I'm sorry, that's a technical explanation of the question that you asked.
Well, I do agree. I think you need an opportunity to look at the comments, both from
Sure.
the abutters and from the various departments within the town, and address those for our satisfaction.
Yes. Yes, I will do.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, I have questions about the inverter. They have nothing to do with the voltage. They have to do with noise. Can you speak a little bit to how much noise these inverters will generate?
Yeah, so when you are very close to the inverter, very close, like 2 feet, 3 feet, 5 feet, you hear a noise, these inverters these days are really well improved. I mean, 30 years of work. You hear very small noise, but when you go to 10 feet, 20 feet, 30 feet, you just do not hear any noise of the inverter.
Can you provide us with some
Yeah.
some information on that?
Yes.
Documents what you're telling us?
Yes.
Measure.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I've not done that technical part, but it's just an experience that I'm speaking. I've seen, yeah.
What is the nearest, what's the distance to the nearest abutter?
So from the east side, that's the nearest abutter, right? So it's probably 100 feet from the fence that we have. The green line is the fence, probably 100 feet, or maybe 150 feet. That's the nearest abutter. But inverter is on the way on that side. That distance is probably from the abutter to the inverter is almost 300 plus feet.
From the inverter to the abutter, yeah. Gotcha,
Yes.
understand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And did you have a question?
Steve, this is a question for you. I just want clarification. What does section 4187, it talks about the planning board has the authority to require a peer review. What does that mean?
Well, you could require an engineer to peer review the data that's provided that supports the layout. It would be proof of the engineering concept that's going to generate as expected. I'm not sure if there's any constraint on the scope in terms of other factors like stormwater. I would defer to staff that's got longer experience with more solar projects.
Sure, yeah. So if the board feels that this is too technical and that they needed an independent consultant outside of town staff, they could, at the expense of the applicant, request a peer reviewer agency to look over all of the plans, and they could look to details such as site design, noise impacts, mitigation, stormwater, anything the board sees fit that would fall under the jurisdiction of the special permit review.
Okay, good, Gail.
So I still have, I want to make sure I'm understanding this. If it had stayed at under 250, could the construction move forward without further approvals?
It actually has, they've issued a building permit and construction has started with the understanding that it's capped at 248.
Yep. So I'm feeling that that extra 30 must be very important to the applicant because they're going through this process. And my thinking out loud is that by going through this process, we do have some ability to work together to influence the ultimate outcome. But if it were just reduced under 250, we would lose that ability to influence. So I just would like everyone to keep that in mind.
Through the chair, if I may, it was an important distinction. When the building department received the permit first, the planning department originally denied it so that it could go through this process. And then speaking with the applicant, and that they really wanted to phase because they wanted to get the original installation in. We did speak of the risks in doing that because the minute they trigger the threshold, you're looking at the full solar installation. So I stated that the buffer zone for the smaller installation could be increased up to 100 feet, and then you would have to move materials, move sites. So the whole site layout is almost like slightly premature because you have the ability through conditions to control how that's going to end up looking. But as we spoke about that, Yvonne wished to go forward, and the property owner wished to go forward with the original building permit, and then to come here and discuss that with the board.
And so I guess I do have a question as well, which is if the building the building department as well as the historic commission had both been involved in the process twice before, are there potentially notes of any feedback at the time of their review that might be helpful for us, do you think, or concerns that they may have raised?
There were not at the time, no, not through staff input through the building department, nor at the Historic District Committee.
So again, if it were under 250 and it wasn't coming through this process, is there any ability to influence drainage, erosion, stormwater, fire access, or would that just not?
Or the decommissioning?
Or decommissioning or O&M,
We have some ability through like a site plan review process. So you have building codes that are in place, that water has to remain on site. There's a list of different requirements that we go through and the different programs that we're involved in to help safeguard activities from the community. But if it was under that certain KW, then we would not elevate it to the level of a special permit. It would just be handled in-house by staff. And that is the zoning bylaw that was voted upon by town meeting. It's in the full R2 district. So you can't spot zone by permitting. You can only spot zone through a town meeting vote if one property is getting a benefit that others are not. In this case, it would be the whole residential 2 district. I should probably actually also mention, we did refer the project to the Cape Cod Commission for a development of regional impact review. And from consulting with them, myself and Steve, they said that this would not trigger any relief needed under their regulations.
So the project is subject to Cape Cod Commission review?
It is not. It is not, but we did refer it to double check. A lot of the solar projects are, it all depends on ground disturbance, but because this is grassy area and there's not a large clearing that's associated with it, it didn't trigger relief.
So as we understand, is the project compliant? It's project compliant?
Well, I wouldn't go as far as saying that straight off the bat. I mean, I think there's a lot of things that we still have to iron out. There's a lot of missing information and information that Sam was looking for. So, we always say it substantially complies, meaning it can get to this level, and then we really have to start going through the details to work out what the end product looks like.
Okay. So does that mean we just need the responses to the questions raised to consider it?
Well, I think we need some responses, but it sounds like based on the bylaws that we can also make, we can see about a peer review being conducted, which might be beneficial.
I think so.
And then potentially we're in a position to provide.
Are we there yet, though, or do we wait for a response from the applicant and then make a determination on that?
Yeah, I think that makes
Makes
sense.
sense.
And the peer review would be, I mean, Cape Cod Commission's looked at it, doesn't trigger, our town professionals have looked at it. What,
Would be an outside consultant who has expertise on solar arrays. I think.
And that might address more things like the noise
noise,
effects on the enjoyment of the property.
The electromagnetic question that came up.
Concerns
Yeah.
about cancer, the stormwater issues, the drainage.
I just keep keeping in mind that if it hadn't hit a 250 threshold, it would just be being constructed as said. And is the footprint of it smaller? Is that what you were saying?
So it's basically just four more rows. So the the top four will get out if you don't allow us or don't approve. If the PB planning board does not approve,
Yep,
then the 4 rows will not be there.
yep.
That's it. We will just restrict ourselves to total minus the 4 rows. That's 248, which is less than 250.
And that's why, tell me if I'm on the wrong track, but that's why I'm feeling like by collaborating through this process, we have more ability to influence the ultimate outcome. If we make it too difficult, you can just go back to 250 and
That's right.
construct freely.
Yes, right.
So,
So if the planning board does not approve,
mhm.
it's okay. Like we just do 248 as we.
Right, but then do we lose some of our influence over drainage and O&M and,
Setbacks would probably be the biggest thing for a single-story accessory structure as such at 248. You're looking at a 10-foot setback from the property lines for the abutters. To get the higher capacity, you could implement a much larger. I mean, already we're going from 42 and then 60 in areas. It's already a lot larger than what will be required for under that threshold.
We have gone beyond, so right now it's like, it's much more than what is required.
understood?
So I'm just gonna go through that again, just to make sure that everyone, hears it. But if the original plan, which was 248 kilowatts, right? Then that would not require any further condition or approval of any kind from the board in a special permit. And they would have what they need to do that plan. And in doing that plan, that original plan, that the abutters, they could actually be up to about 10 feet away from an abutter. But in this case, it sounds like there would be a potential for an increase in the amount of space between the property and the abutters with consideration of allowing a higher KW.
That's correct.
Of like 60 feet or 40 feet or.
Yeah, I mean, the board has, deferred to each project as it's come before them. You've gone between 50 and 100 foot of a buffer for solar projects, depending on the scale of them. This would be the smallest large scale that you've seen.
Okay.
Typically, we see 450 to 500.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And I know there are a lot of members of the public that are in attendance this evening that maybe want to be heard. Again, I'm just going to reiterate, when you please come to the table, there is a microphone above here. It is being recorded, would be available on community television. And just when you come to the table, please state your name and spell your last name and state your address so that we can have that information in the record. And I don't know who would like to speak, but I do know maybe we could start on this side of the room.
We have a question. First, we're going to start with a question. Hi, I'm Leah Dager. First name is Leah. Last name is Dagher. I live at 108 Dillingham Avenue. And question is about the fact that abutters have not received notice from the Historic Commission. So my question is, what is the board's obligation at that point, and what is the process for going back to the Historic Commission to determine if there were any gaps in the process?
Excellent question. Leanne, do you think you
Yeah,
might have some
just
insight?
first, that is not the purview of this board. You do not condition any of your approvals on another board's process. The threshold and standards for Historic District Committee, the area for abutters is an awful lot smaller. It's just those that immediately touch the property for the Historic District Committee. So sometimes you only have 5. In the case for the planning board, it's a 300-foot radius, so the distance for notification is a lot larger. So our requirements are to send out a legal notice and also to post in the paper. And then there's an appeal period after the approval process. So if you did this the way it is written, that you did not receive notice and you did not check the paper, you have to appeal during that appeal period for the hearing to start over again. So we are past the appeal periods. So at this point, there is nothing that we can do to encourage the applicant to go back and go through the process again. He's on legal standing and his permit is valid.
Point of order, just to clarify, so if the applicant got erroneous information from the assessor's office, I'm making this up right now, I don't know that that's happened, but I want to understand as a resident because we all have to go through this process. So if the assessor's office then provided erroneous information and people were not contacted and there's a fundamental error in the process, there's no way to correct it.
The second part to that is that it's advertised in a local paper in circulation. And per the statute, that covers notification if there's an error with the abutter notification.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Dager.
My name's Laura Vosberg Marshall. I live at 43 Tyler Drive. I was the one who put this letter together in conjunction with one of the other abutters, Randy Andrews. We recognize now that it's clear to us that the process with the historic district is flawed, but we understand where we are. So we appreciate your consideration in reviewing all these items that we have raised and brought forth. I can tell you in my 35 years of commercial real estate experience that this project has damaged the value of these abutting homes. And when that bramble is dead, as it will die since it's not evergreen, I will be staring directly at this solar array. So I ask you, would any of you like to come and buy my home? Because no one's going to want to buy it now. And that, to me, is the thing that is most disturbing about this. Now, we saw for the first time here that a fence is proposed. I think that, to your point earlier, I think it's a very good point that while it stays within the purview of this committee, perhaps there is more ability to influence. Because I think increasing the buffer zone around this installation, since it appears to be a fait accompli, why they're called the historic district is a conversation for neighborhood cocktails, clearly. But if we could increase the buffer zone, and also we would like some influence on, I noticed there was an indication of a 10-foot fence. I'm assuming that means the panels don't exceed the fence height. But if there's a fence there, what does said fence look like? Does it look like it belongs on Cape Cod? Or does it look like a chain link fence, such as you might see in a city community? These are the things that matter to us. We're also very concerned about the noise. So the answer, lack of a specific scientific decibel output on the inverters is not satisfactory. So thank you for raising that question. So I do think we need much more information. I don't think anything solves this, and probably there's very little that will make us happy because we feel completely betrayed by the historic committee. However, to the extent that you can influence and make this nightmare better for us in this neighborhood by helping to disguise this installation, I think that would be appreciated by all of us. Now, I don't think I need to go through all these points again because you read them out loud. Thank you for doing that.
And we are going to send them to the applicant and, well, to allow the applicant to take a look at them as well,
Okay,
okay?
yes. I'm also gonna let you know that I think we should all band together in a pile for tax abatements as a result of the valuation impact to our homes too. Because that is a proven fact. You can Google it, but I can tell you in my 35 years of going through these valuations that it absolutely impacts the value of our homes. So,
Ms. Vesper Marshall. right?
Vosburgh Marshall.
Thank you. So what I heard today is that a couple of things, of items of concern from you involved, obviously, the valuation of the home with your background in real estate, the scientific decibel information, and noise. What would a potential fence look like? Whether it would be high enough to cover the panels, and would it match the character of the community? And then also, and you would like to see an increase in the buffer zone.
Absolutely. Let's make the Sandwich Lodge deal with the damage that they've wreaked upon this land and put that solar array closer to them. Those people are only there for a night.
And thank you. And then also, you had mentioned that there was bramble along
Yes,
the.
the separation between the residential area is bramble, so it's not evergreen.
Okay.
So it's all gonna die, and I will be looking, last year I thought to myself, God, that is the ugliest building, so I've gotta put some landscaping up. And so now, not only do I have an ugly building, I also have an industrial installation that I'll be looking at. So that's my concern.
Perhaps there might be something like evergreen that would be
Absolutely.
a noise deterrent, as well as
Yes.
also an issue with regards
Yes,
to the
I
site.
absolutely
Okay.
think that's a good
All right.
suggestion. I also appreciate Mr. Jensen's comments about maintenance response time, because that is also something, if one of these inverters gets stuck and there's a continual click, click, clicking, or there's a solar panel that's flapping because it's become loose, and it's 2 a.m. and I'm lying in bed, and my neighbor's texting me saying, can you hear that noise? We don't want to have that conversation, you know?
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name's George Randy Andrews. I own 37 and 39 Tyler. One of my biggest issues is the building inspection. I know I'm backpedaling on it, but why weren't these issues that Mr. Jensen brought up with stormwater back then before they were issued the permit? And then in the fire department, they should have all been included with the building permit. And that was never brought up at that time there. The stormwater is a big issue because we have on Tyler Drive that flows right across in the wintertime. Well, we got a low spot there. And changing anything is gonna turn that, send that water in a different direction or back onto Tyler Drive. And it's a problem now, and I can see it being even a bigger problem. But my main thing is we were never notified from the historical, and I understand that we should have read it in the paper. But now we're beyond that. We need a process to go back and review the whole project again. And the fact that they've got permission to get with the permit to start the process, they're already well into it. All right, the last few days, we've got a dust storm that's just filling our houses with dust. Before the meeting here, we were hoping we could get to the meeting to express our concerns. And now we're going backwards all the way to 23 or whenever the permit was issued by the building department. What were the requirements that the building department put them through? We don't know any of that.
I didn't understand the comment about the dust storm. Is the land
They're
been cleared?
working now. They're working now.
Bulldozers over
Oh,
there
so it's been cleared, it's being cleared now.
I'm just gonna
It's
ask
covered with dust.
that members of the public just let, if you want to speak, just wait to be heard at the table. Thank you.
But our cars are covered. We had to shut the windows today and it's all pouring in. And it was unexpected. We didn't expect them to start before this meeting tonight. I would like to see the project shut down until we backtrack all the way to historical and have it addressed properly, you know? So, and there's many more issues I could go on and on. The main thing is the fire department. They have a tough time handling these solar panels. If something goes on, they can't get to them if they don't have the proper road and everything and how to handle it. That's a big issue up there. The forest will go up, or the woods will go up if one of these light on fire. And the fact, you brought up a great point, you know, the engineering on Chamberlain, on Tyler Drive. It all pours down to the neighbors. And we are speaking for a couple of other neighbors. There's a few elderly ladies that couldn't get here, and other ones, so we're all together on that, so. And other people that are on vacation right now. So there are more people that are very interested in stopping this right now until we get it correct from the get-go and get notified. My question, well, I guess I'm going to go back to the building department on the permit. What grounds were they allowed to give them the permit? What were the requirements that they needed? I mean, there was a lot that wasn't addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Andrews.
Hello, I'm Susan Curley from 27 Tyler Drive. To assume that everybody gets that useless enterprise paper is silly. In 2023, we were never notified by the historical committee of what was going to happen in 2023. I've been over to the property. There are excavators, bulldozers, is that the correct term? Over there now, as he said, raising all kinds of dirt and everything else and noise. How can that be going on if it's not totally permitted yet? Answer.
Permitted up to 248 kilowatts. That is the by right allowance.
So that's all they're going to do right now.
So,
correct, they cannot go beyond that.
right, so Mrs. Curley, what is before the planning board is not the approval of the original request for the building permit or the historic approval of something that was under 250 kilowatts.
But I still complain that we didn't get notice back in 2023.
What is before us is a special permit where we have an opportunity to perhaps make some influence in that design and construction, should we allow a special permit, and hear the concerns in the process of that special permit request. But that would be to exceed the kilowatts, and that's what's before the planning department.
I understand.
And before the planning board itself for the approval, but we don't have the authority to go back and change what the historic commission or the building department approved at this time. And I know that is hard, but I don't think that there is an alternative with the planning board. Your efforts could be directed also to the parties that did make those approval, but not for this purpose of the special permit.
I went to the planning board last week. One neighbor got the
Historic you went to last week?
No, the planning board.
Okay.
Planning department.
The office, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And perfectly useless secretary confronted me, but they said that there were certified letters sent out on August 4th. One neighbor got them, and myself, did you get one? No. Did you get one? No. What's with that? Today's the 19th.
It's not your purview.
It's not in our.
It's not your department? No.
It's not, this is the planning board, that's a separate committee, separate statute. All requirements were met for that statute.
And I know this is hard because you want us to be able to do something to change that, but I don't think that you're at the right venue for the complaints that you have. And I know that that's frustrating, but it's not necessarily the planning department. It would be.
So what's going on right now with the construction out there that's allowed?
The construction that is currently taking place was already previously approved.
Do any of you have one of these farms in your backyard?
So the bylaws are written in such a way that the planning board reviews these special permits. A special permit would not have been needed for what was already in the works. Okay?
It just seems silly that if you want to paint your front door a different color, you have to go before the historical committee. And for this, we weren't notified. I know that's not your department.
We're here to work with the current, what authority we do have with what is being presented to us on an application basis, in line with the current bylaws. And certainly, I would encourage, you know, the thoughtful
Well, someone
idea of making additional changes or trying to make additional changes within this town, but this isn't the right venue for that, okay?
Yeah. Oh, I've dealt with the town before. I built 9 houses in the 90s here in town, and
Well, we thank you for your comments
craziness.
tonight, okay?
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Sorry, could I ask you to stop the project until these fire department and these other issues are addressed? And I know you're only here for the special permit.
I mean, I wouldn't believe we do, but
The only individual that has that authority is the building commissioner.
yes.
So when the building permit comes in through our online portal, it gets sent to all regulatory departments. So it got sent to the Conservation Commission, the Planning Department, Building Department, of course, Engineering Department, Fire Department. And at that point, staff all convenes electronically and discusses all of the issues. And then it goes through different phases. But the best person to speak about that would be the building commissioner.
Yeah.
I understand that, so, but how do we stop it until we get these issues addressed?
We can't provide you
can't.
with that kind of like legal
So
advice, but we
tomorrow
would
they're
suggest
gonna
that you go to the building commissioner.
So we have to go before the building department and ask for cease and desist? Is that where we have to go with this? Or-
Again, I don't think we're in a position, I'm sorry, to give you legal advice of that type of action. But I thank you for your comment tonight.
Broke my leg when I got here. My name is Jean Lemire. I live at 41 Tyler Drive. And seems like there's nothing you can do, but I can say when I live in between the two of them. So when I open my back door, I'm going to have this. It's going to be wonderful. And you talk about a buffer. There's a stone wall there that is end of the property. And it is from that wall to this desk here is the buffer zone. So we're going to be looking at this day and night, feeling it and everything. I just want everybody here to think about this. If you walked out of your house and had to deal with this and maybe get sick from it, you might want to think about this and help us along a little bit. All right? I'm just letting you know. Okay? Thank you. Thank you.
Could we clarify? I feel like I'm just hearing different things about setbacks and distances. What is the minimum setback from the fence to an abutter's property line?
40 feet.
40 feet.
The new proposed is 40. It goes to like 42, 60 in other areas, and that's to the fence line.
For the special permit proposal, but the
That,
approved
that's not a
building permit.
requirement, right? That wasn't a requirement before. The requirement, the minimum was 10 feet between if the project remained under the 250. And so now, is there a minimum or we can just influence the amount of the setback?
You can condition the amount of the setback.
Right.
The board has varied in the past with how far you create a buffer zone.
But then again, if the project is already under construction, we can't really impose it.
You absolutely can. And that was when we explained to the applicant that they're proceeding at their own risk and that this may cost them money to do it prematurely. Because you are influencing the full project and the full buffer zone.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name's Julia Rugo, R-U-G-O. I live at 33 Tyler Drive. So my main concern is the EMF potential or any health concerns. We have members in our household who are ultra susceptible to such environmental conditions, including health, air quality, and any potential electromagnetic fields. So having a proper understanding of what those influences are is very important to us, as well as considering if we are moving in this collaboration effort, any barriers that might reduce the EMF. So I work in the technical field, and I know that there may be potential for such a fence that is still within the Cape Cod culture that might block some EMFs or any sinking pads that would keep the EMFs within that one field rather than potentially coming into our house. We live directly behind this field. So, and as well as keeping it as far from our properties as possible, that would also help with EMF potential. Yeah, so that's a big concern for us health-wise.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Rugo.
Hello. My name is Eileen North, and I live at 47 Tyler Drive. So my big concerns are the home value decreasing. I was recently also diagnosed with Hashimoto's, which naturally comes with brain fog. And through all of the EMFs, I fear that it's just going to get worse with these solar panels. There's also a history of cancer in my family, and I'm afraid of the pesticide use that they do use with these to prevent weeds and insecticides. So I'm worried about that. And if I ever do get pregnant, it does increase the chance of birth defects as well, the pesticides. I don't use any in my yard right now, and I would love to not have it airborne from their field into mine. My house is right in the upper right-hand corner, where it's gonna be about 40 feet from my house. Yep, so right about there is my house. It's gonna be hopefully not a glare. That's another one of my concerns because I am prone to migraines as well. It's gonna be an eyesore. And I do have a question for everybody. If somebody were to propose putting cadmium, arsenic, and hexavalent chromium in your backyard, would you like it? Because if these break and they're not maintained well, then the cadmium does lead to cancer, kidney dysfunction, and bone demineralization. Arsenic is developmental delay, and we have kids in our neighborhood. Cancer and neurological effects. And hexavalent chromium is cancer when inhaled. So this isn't just what's going into the groundwater. This is what's also, if these break, we're going to be breathing it in as well, along with the pesticides. So I don't know if any of you would want this in your backyard just because of the health effects, not even talking about the eyesore it's going to cause. Those are my concerns, so thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Heather Meserve, Meserve. I live at 34 Tyler Drive. Eileen actually just expressed a lot of the concerns that I have as a registered nurse, so I'll speak about something different. We have a large garden. We grow all of our own food. We have bees. I'd be very concerned about the pesticide use in our neighborhood, how that could detrimentally affect the food that we grow, the bees that, when we have them, because that's been a problem. We lost our hive last year, so we're a little concerned, but hoping to get some in the spring. So again, the pesticide use, the airborne issues of pollution, I think that the neighborhood would be detrimentally affected. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ashley Freeman, Freeman. I also live at 33 Tyler Drive. My neighbors bring up so many incredible points about just how detrimental it is to us physically. But my land in particular, it's direct view. It has a vernal pool that comes in through the side yard, and it floods every spring. And it produces all kinds of beautiful animals and plants and all things that are essential for that area there. But as far as property value, that land is increasingly getting more and more wet and flooded. And I fear that the runoff from the panels will increase the amount of flow of water on my property specifically. And I know my neighbor to the left of me also has issues with water in her basement, often floods already. So that's definitely a major concern that has not yet been brought up. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
And you have young children.
Oh, yeah.
Hi,
Hi, I'm Lydia Broderick, Broderick. I live at 31 Tyler Drive, and Ashley is my neighbor, and yes, my yard floods. Like, when my son was little, he drew a boat in our yard during a wet season. So I am very concerned about the possible flooding, and I already live sort of in a wetland area, so I don't really need my yard, my basement, and everything to have more water problems or anything like that. I mean, we've been in a bit of a drought this summer, so the water has not been an issue in my yard, but any wet year, I can have a skating rink in the winter, I could have, you know, a pond in my front yard. So that is a major concern. The other thing is that I suffer from pretty chronic migraine, and any kind of EMF could contribute to more frequent migraines, which is something that I've already been struggling with for 20 years. So those are my concerns at the present time. And the only other thing that am I to understand that if this project goes forward with the expansion, that it would actually make the distance from the abutters more of a distance than previously?
Right, so, correct, so it's Broderick, right?
Broderick,
Yeah, so when the original request was made, there didn't have to go before the planning board. But because of the over 250 kilowatt request, right, it now is a special permit that comes to us where we could make conditions such as a wider, space that would be required versus if the current project were to stay as is without the special permit, there would be a minimum of 10 feet that would be required, which is not very much.
It sounds to me like it's actually more beneficial
In some ways.
in some ways, even though it's not ideal for any of us in the neighborhood and we would prefer it not to be happening at all. I understand that this is not the place to address those issues. So,
Right, so that by increasing the amount of space between the abutters and the project itself, as a condition, for the increase of the kilowatt, that might maybe help the scenario that would otherwise have that kind of requirement, and the abutters would be potentially very disadvantaged.
okay. All right.
And we hear the health concerns and the noise concerns and the other issues that have been raised. Yeah.
Yeah.
The environmental, bees, gardens, things like that. And so are there mechanisms that could also be met and put into place
Implemented,
that
yeah.
would also assist in making the area a little bit better for the abutters that are being so greatly impacted?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just have a point of information. So it's tough to see on the plans, the initial installation of the smaller output proposed a 25-foot setback from the property line. The higher generating capacity, we just received those plans today, they propose a 40-foot setback. Of course, everything says accurate, that's within your discretion to set the setback at what's sufficient.
Thank you.
I just had one more question about the.
Yes.
About the pesticide spraying.
Could you just state your name?
Oh, sorry, yes,
Sorry,
again,
Ashley.
Ashley Freeman, 33 Tyler. Would we as abutters be notified when they do spray, and how much notice would we get?
I think that's something that's gonna be up for discussion.
Okay.
Because I think one of the recommendations from the engineer was no pesticides.
Okay, great.
We'll look at that as well.
And then, so if going forward, I'm sure we'll just continue to get more notices about what is gonna happen, what the next plans are, and how we can influence that in any way, like, as abutters, like, what do we do next?
So I can tell you just at least for the short term, this is an open hearing. It's open to the public for public comment. We have a quorum issue with regard to the members that are here, and the ability to move forward, and we would be asking, or at least I would be suggesting to the rest of the board that we have a continued hearing on this matter. And that would also allow the applicant to take into consideration some of the things that have been raised tonight, as well as in the memo that was read, but also information that was through, you know, the town engineer and the fire department. And then to have an opportunity to be heard further on that. And then there would be potential for the planning board to make other discussions and suggestions and then decide how to move forward from there.
Great.
And that meeting is scheduled for the September 2nd.
September 2nd. Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
If I may just
Oh, yes,
interject
yes.
a little bit. To stay up to date on the project, so we're not required to send out any more abutter notifications once it's been advertised and opened. So if you wish to stay up to date on it for a packet, I would recommend letting Maureen know, and she can take your email address. So every time we send out a message to the board related to the project, you will also be copied and get to see the information firsthand. You can always call into us if you want to go over anything or, you know, any of the questions you have. And just in terms of some of the conditions for the board, we previously have conditioned that water only, no pesticides. We've conditioned that pollinator gardens be included so that they don't ward off wildlife. We've conditioned that fences in wood, split rail, Cape Cod style have been included. Arborvitaes and evergreens have been included. So all of those conditions are pretty standard for this type of array.
I have a question for Ms. Forsberg Marshall. In the letter from the abutters, and I know you wrote it up from others, there was mention of rodents. Could you
we have a mouse problem in our neighborhood.
And so just coming up to the table. Thank you.
Sure. So we have Laura Marshall, 43 Tyler Drive. We have a rodent problem as it is. I have a monthly pest control. And so since the ground has been disturbed, we've certainly seen more activity already. And although I understand that it says 40 feet, they are immediately on the other side of the bramble from me. So that land has already been disturbed, so that's creating more activity.
The mice don't know. The mice don't know.
No, I'm gonna give them an eviction notice, but unfortunately I can't give them one.
Thanks, thank you.
So I just want, Nicole, can I just clarify?
Yeah.
Even if we had a full board tonight, we would still be continuing to get the responses to our questions.
Right,
Okay.
right. It does seem that there's a lot more additional information, and we may, after receiving that information, decide as we can under the bylaws, have a peer review. If that's something that we think is.
Is that something we can move on tonight of the peer review, or we can't until the next meeting?
May I comment first? Just because I can tell you from where I'm sitting right now, I don't support a peer review right now because I feel like we're talking about the difference of 30 kV. The project can move forward without anything. That's right. So I feel like if we make this process too cumbersome, the applicant's just going to do what they could do with zero influence from us.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Anne, sorry.
Typically, you would want to have the 2/3 vote to be able to move forward with peer review. I wouldn't take any action tonight in the fact that you do not have quorum for voting. And then just to Jean's point, I think the more costs you add to the applicant will take away maybe from the neighbors in the end for what they might receive.
Okay, thank you. I don't think that there's anyone else that wishes to be heard with regard to this project, but I just don't want to miss anyone, okay? So I would ask for a motion to continue the public hearing for the 54 Route 6A special permit application for Sura Standard Energy LLC.
What's the date?
To September 2nd, 2025.
Does that give the applicant enough time to respond?
Yes. We'll try to answer all the questions in the next 1 week, hopefully.
I make a motion to continue the public hearing to September 2nd on 54 Route 6A special permit.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? None? Okay, thank you. You know what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this up in case anyone needs to leave as we continue on in the process, and you want to leave your name and email address.
Will that mean I can get 6 o'clock as well?
Yes, at this location. Thank you, everyone. The next item on the agenda is 44 Water Street. It's a scenic road permit. And for the purposes of altering one stone wall located within the town road layout. And may I just ask members of the public to be as quiet as possible? Thank you. I will now read the public notice into the record. Town of Sandwich Public Hearing Notice, Planning Board. The Sandwich Planning Board will hold a public hearing on the application of Frederick Kirsch, applicant, and Frederick and Nikki Kirsch, property owners, for a scenic road permit for property located at 44 Water Street, Sandwich, Massachusetts. Assessors map number 43, parcel number 3, for a request to alter one stone wall located within the town road layout. The public hearing will be held on August 19th, 2025 at the Sand Hill School Community Center, 16 Dewey Avenue, Sandwich, Mass. At 6 p.m. The public record information can be viewed at the Planning and Development Office. Okay, and now I will ask for a motion to open the public hearing.
I make a motion to open the public hearing on the request regarding 44 Water Street.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? Abstentions? No? Thank you. Motion carries. And I will now read the staff memo. Just make sure I have the right one. It's from me, right?
We should have on file from Sam and Jennifer, they're inside the folder.
Sorry about that. All right. So this memorandum is addressed to the planning board from Sam Jensen, town engineer, dated August 13th, 2025. This is for 44 Water Street Scenic Road application, parcel 43-003. The engineering department has reviewed the subject application, offers the following. 1, the department understands that the proposed driveway work is intended to improve safe egress to and from Water Street. Traffic volumes and speeds at this location can be high. Alteration and or removal of a portion of stone wall appears to be necessary and unavoidable to accommodate the proposed work. 2, the site plan indicates that a portion of stone wall within the work area is within the street layout of Water Street, a scenic road. It appears that the trees behind the wall are outside of the layout and on private property. This is consistent with survey data provided by the department's engineering consultant. 3, the town, through the engineering department, Department of Public Works, and Bikeways and Pedestrian Committee, is planning shared use path along Water Street in this location. That project is in very preliminary design stages now. It appears that the proposed driveway work in the subject application has been designed to account for the future shared use path, which may help reduce overall disruption and support a more cohesive design at this location. That completes that memo. Okay, the next memo was sent to the planning board from Jenna Silva, Assistant Director of Natural Resources. Dated July 31st, 2025. The subject is the Conservation Commission comment on 44 Water Street for the scenic road permit. The Conservation Commission has reviewed the scenic road permit application for 44 Water Street for the installation of a gravel driveway requiring removal of trees and realignment of a stone wall. It appears that the submitted plans that the proposed work will be over 100 feet from the nearest resource area, bordering vegetated wetland. Please let me know if you have any further questions or require additional information, and copy to the Conservation Commission. Next, we have a memorandum from, sent to Mr. Andrea, Chairman of the Conservation Commission, Mr. Reed, Building Commissioner, Mr. Tolton, Public Works Director, and Mr. Jensen, Town Engineer, and that is from the Planning Board for 44 Water Street, Scenic Road Permit, dated July 30th, 2025. Please review the attached request for a Scenic Road Permit. If you would like your comments to be reviewed by the Planning Board, kindly submit them no later than Wednesday, August 13th, 2025. Alternatively, they will be collected and distributed the night of the meeting. The public hearing is scheduled for August 19th, 2025. Thank you. And then we have one more. Right, do I need to read? No, I'm good. Okay, thank you. You could have stopped me. That's fine. Just give me an elbow. Okay, so Steve, could you give us an overview, please?
I can give you a summary. So a lot of times when you've seen scenic road applications come forward in the past, it was paired up with a shade tree or street tree review for tree removal for servicing utility lines or other construction related to the roadway. That's not the case here because the trees are outside the road layout on private land. So this is a scenic road review that pertains to the stone wall and the general bylaw provision that addresses stone walls. There's two plans provided. One incorporates a potential future bike lane. In each case, there's the addition of this parking area here with some grading, and the stone wall, you see the feature running right across here that's to be affected. So in terms of criteria that you're weighing the decision against, that was provided in the memo. There's A through J, a broad list of interests to protect as you consider the work that's proposed. And I think that's what I can provide you for now. That the structure is from 1630. It's in the Town Hall National Historic Register District. So it's, it's a matter of some weight. But the jux of the authority is derived from the bylaw and the Scenic Road Act. So the narrative, if you saw the application form, is a little short on the construction process, what's to unfold on the site that affects the wall. So we may look for some additional information on that front. And discussion of which plan is proposed for action.
Okay, thank you. Sam, did you want to provide anything further?
I'll just reiterate that the town is a pretty large effort with planning shared use path to connect from the service road to the Cape Cod Canal. It follows this corridor here. Our engineering consultant had conducted land survey work, and it appears that everything that we see here is consistent with the results of that. So it's a little bit of a surprise that the trees are outside the layout, but that was consistent with what our engineering consultant found. Mr. Kirsch had approached our department about the possibility of having a driveway here, and that was discussed with Mr. Sean Harrington out in the field, who handles most of the day-to-day process for driveway permit applications. And on review of the plan, it was noted that a small portion of the stone wall would appear to be in the road layout of Water Street, and Mr. Kirsch was advised to seek approval through the appropriate channel, being this mechanism now. So it all in all, it looks like it is being done in close cooperation. The work that Mr. Kirsch wants to do to provide the driveway for safer egress onto the street, along with the planned shared use path work that we're doing on the town's end. So there's some mutual benefit there.
Thank you. And we do have the applicant here, Mr. Kirsch.
Yep.
Would you like to be heard on anything? If you could come to the table and maybe give us a summary or overview of sorts. Maybe clarify, it sounds like we had the two plans submitted, but
Yep.
a second.
Yep, Fred Kirsch, 44 Water Street. As Mr. Jensen said, would like to create this driveway because the existing driveway does cause issues getting in and out. It's at a tough angle where people come around the curve there, so you see them at the last moment, really from both sides. Even people walking on the sidewalk, because of growth that's not even on my property, it blocks people maybe riding a bike or whatever. So it's a tough in and out as it is. So this would really help that, the second driveway. And I understand fully want to be cooperative with the town when it comes to both the shared path and also with maintaining the historical integrity when it comes to the stone wall. But if the shared path goes through, that's going to have to be dealt with anyway at some point. So the shared path will affect that anyway. So at some point, that stone wall is going to need to be addressed either through this project or through the shared path. So you can do it now or do it later.
I love stone walls, but it sounds like the same thing. There's mutual benefit in this approach.
Yeah.
Correct, yeah, and what we're looking at for the larger project, the shared use path, would be to be very careful with the historic and cultural context. We want our project to be done with the lightest touch possible. And so we may have some opportunity to replicate the wall that would be disturbed as part of our project, the shared use path project. And we're looking to minimize the amount of impacts.
Does anyone else from the board wish ask any questions or?
Yeah, and I also have a lot of respect for stone walls. I think it's part of our historic character here in town, and I prefer to see them stay as they are. But this bike path's important too, and sometimes you gotta break some eggs to make an omelet. So I don't object to this. I do have a question for Mr. Kirsch, though. Are you planning on abandoning the other driveway?
No.
So you would still have that?
Yep.
Are you required to get a mass highway permit for new curb cut? Is that considered state highway?
It is route technically, it's part of state designated Route 130, but it's a town section of road. So this is, the road name here is Water Street. Okay. But it's part of the larger.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, I don't object to it, Mr. Kirsch. I think, it does have to, something has to be done. As you said, it's going to be dealt with at some point. I was a little surprised to learn that the bike path was on that side of Water Street. I had always assumed that with the highway ramps that we'd be on the other side of Water Street there. But
yeah, this is a difficult stretch of road. We've got a few that are challenging. One element that's factoring in for our project is the character of the stone wall on the other side of the street, which continue. The image that you see now continues on to the rear of the camera view, going up the hill in a southerly direction. It's very visible, and it's one factor. There's many others. Versus the stone wall on the other side, perhaps could be enhanced through our project, but with the location where it's at now would be in conflict. But that's the shared use path project, which is not what we're permitting tonight.
No, I would appreciate the perspective, and honestly, every time I pass a biker, we need safer biking. So just strike the right balance, and I'm fine with this proposal.
Okay, so
just one more comment. I know it's not our purview, but I saw that the memo from the Department of Natural Resources. I do think with grading down to the 46-foot contour, that project is in fact going to be within Conservation Commission jurisdiction. I think you are within 100 feet of that in the back in there, just as a caution too.
Right, I thought we weren't, it was beyond that, but, so. Are you saying that conservation will have to come into play here?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
I'd be just a word of caution to you, yeah.
So what's the next step there?
Oh, well, I should defer to the Department of Natural Resources, really, that's not us, but typically a project that's within 100 feet of a wetland would have to get Conservation Commission review and approval.
Okay. So I heard that a memo was sent to them?
They've provided us comments in the form of a memo, and
can I get a copy of that?
Sure. Yeah, that's all public.
Absolutely. Yeah. So and I can just read it again. I did read it.
Yeah.
The Conservation Commission has reviewed the scenic road permit application for 44 Water Street for the installation of a gravel driveway requiring removal of trees and realignment of the stone wall. It appears from the submitted plans that the proposed work will be over 100 feet from the nearest resource area of bordering vegetated wetland.
So it'll be over 100 feet, so it wouldn't be within their purview.
As permits are sought, they will take another look to see the disturbance. I think Jen is referring to the physical locality of the stone wall, maybe not necessarily to any driveway being constructed.
Oh,
I can refer it to her tomorrow.
Okay.
Oh, so they're just referring to the stone wall?
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
Not sure, because it just says proposed work.
Yeah.
Will be over 100 feet. So if it was under 100 feet, then they would have
Trigger
to.
jurisdiction.
Right. But if it's over,
She may not be looking at the grading, is what it sounds like, is that?
Yeah.
Sorry to bring it up, I just.
No, I'd rather hear about it now before, yeah. And I did hear the comment about, you'd like to see more information about how the stone wall would be handled. I haven't even gotten that far yet. I want to, before I start lining people up, I want to know what I'm up against here.
right. Sorry for the delay, let me just. Does anyone want to talk about any other considerations that were noted? By Steve? So just so I'm clear, we can't vote tonight anyway.
This one, actually, I believe we can. We have enough members. The question is honing in on
Oh, okay.
what action we'd like to take and the fact that there are two plans. I mean, it's unusual that the work's going to be carried out in close concert with the town, so that's reassuring. But I'm not sure what the board's feeling is on how to proceed.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Does anyone have a thought about what we should do this evening?
I guess I'm confused procedurally.
So we can vote on this as a board tonight, and we could close the public hearing, and we could then take a motion to approve the special, the scenic road permit.
You deliberate the decision.
Okay. So, I'm sorry. I could, at this time, would ask if there aren't any further comments, we can, someone can move to close the public hearing.
Open to the public.
Oh, I'm sorry, we have to open this to the public, but I don't think we have to. But we'll open this to the public. Thank you, Mr. Kirsch, if you want to have a seat.
All right.
And I don't see anyone here at this time who wishes to be heard on this scenic road permit application. And so I would ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
I make a motion to close the public hearing on the request on 44 Water Street.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? None, hearing none. And now we can deliberate and have discussion. Okay, thank you.
I think the proposal that includes the bike path is,
Yeah.
I feel like my need for deliberation was satisfied through the questions and answers.
yeah.
The staff prepares a draft decision for the board to go through with Steve prior to making a decision. Typically, for draft decisions, through the chair, if you so wish, you direct a planning staff member to read aloud, starting a procedural history. And then the board takes subsequent motions to vote on findings and conditions as such after the fact, or to add or subtract a condition or finding.
All right, thank you, Anne. So, Steve, would you take us through that?
I can do that. If I can get to the server, I can do that. It'll just take me a minute or two to navigate there. Start going through. Would you like to read through it once first?
Has everyone had a chance to kind of peruse? Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay.
Scenic road decision, certificate of approval to Taylor White, Town Clerk, from the full chair of Planning Board. The scenic road application for 44 Water Street, date August 18th, 2025. Let's update that. At the regularly scheduled meeting held on August 19th, 2025, the Planning Board, acting in their authority as a Scenic Road Committee, voted to grant the request of Frederick and Nikki Kirsch for the purpose of altering a stone wall located on 44 Water Street, Assessor Map 43, Parcel 003, located within the Town Hall Square National Register Historic District in Sandwich, Mass. The proposed work affects approximately XX linear feet of stone wall located in front of the circa 1690 residence on Water Street, a designated scenic road within the Town Hall Square National Historic Registry District. This certificate is granted pursuant to Section 5.15 of the Town of Sandwich Bylaws in conjunction with Chapter 40 of the Massachusetts General Law. I certify that this document is a true and accurate record of the motions made and votes taken by the Planning Board on August 19th, 2025, concerning a scenic road application at 44 Water Street by applicants Frederick and Nikki Kirsch. For the Planning Board, signature pens.
Just procedurally, I thought we could start with procedural history. Do we not have to read all this introductory?
Yeah, typically we start with procedural history. A lot of the others is boilerplate.
So you can skip forward and okay, read all that.
Appreciate that. Okay, procedural history. On July 25th, 2025, an application for a scenic road permit was filed by Frederick and Nikki Kirsch for the purpose of reconstructing a stone wall located on 44 Water Street, Assessor's Map 43, Parcel 003, Sandwich, Mass. Town staff reviewed existing conditions and determined that mature trees in the vicinity of the stone wall are outside of the road layout. Engineering memorandum dated 8/13/2025. After proper notice was given, the public hearing was opened on August 19th, 2025 and closed on August 19th, 2025. The board reviewed the application and all other materials submitted prior to the close of the public hearing. The board received and gave due consideration to testimony given at the public hearing. The following board members attended the public hearing and are eligible to vote on the matter. Cole Willett, Ann McManus, Jack Vaccaro, Jean Burgess. Findings. The board makes the following findings. The application proposes work to install a new residential driveway configuration for residential property constructed approximately 1630. Work proposed includes alteration and realignment of a stone wall within the layout of Water Street, a designated scenic road. The location of the proposed work is within the Town Hall Square National Register Historic District. Mature trees in close proximity to the stone wall proposed for removal are outside of the road layout. We have the procedural matters there. Draft conditions. The permit shall lapse if the reconstruction has not been completed within 3 years from the date of approval, and the constructed wall shall be set back from the town layout. Procedural motion is second. And the procedural approval of the scenic road application. In this instance, I mentioned specifying the plan to take action on. So we've got the general information there. Both plans bear the same title and date. So we just have to specify whether you're approving both courses of action or the one with the bike path or the one without the bike path.
I don't actually understand what the reconstructed wall will be set back from the town layout. What does that mean?
It wouldn't be on town property, so the town has, the layout extends sometimes onto private property from the layout of the roadway.
Okay,
And this is
okay.
within it, so we would want it reconstructed on private property fully.
Thank you.
If the board wishes, they can go back to findings, and either add or delete, and then motion on them.
I'm sorry, what was before the motion? What did you say?
So either add or delete.
Oh,
So,
okay.
you know, Steve read them aloud there. If there's, you know, any you want to alter, change, delete, and then you can motion to vote on them.
I didn't understand that we were talking about some realignment of the stone wall here. Is there intent to relocate that segment of wall that's being removed? Or is it strictly just a removal of the stone wall, the portion of the stone wall?
Thought we were reconstructing.
Depending on the
Yes.
plan provided, you can see here the bike path layout basically overlaps the length of the stone wall. So if it were to be reconstructed, it would have, realignment may be a bad term, but it would be, reconstruction.
Okay, so we're talking about this in lieu of the bike path project as well.
It was to account for that possibility of the bike path route.
Okay.
I believe Mr. Kirsch said tonight too that he hasn't got as far in his planning as to how the stone wall would reappear or if that was his intent. So at this juncture, you're looking to vote on the removal of it, not necessarily the approval of what it will appear as. But if it were to appear, we would prefer if it appeared on private property.
I see. Thank you.
Oh. So condition 2 is, I took it to mean we're reconstructing it on private property.
He could decide to reconstruct it.
We're not requiring it because we don't know about the bike path and how that'll all come together.
Mr. Kirsch has not presented plans to us for a reconstruction. He's presented plans as for a removal.
And that could not be a condition.
It is sort of strange because the application says realignment.
Condition says reconstruction. So do we need a plan?
If the board has additional questions that they feel are unanswered, you should vote to reopen the public
Okay.
hearing.
Yeah,
If you want to take additional testimony.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry for the lapse here, but I also now feel like there's information coming to light that is making me, is sort of clarifying things that I didn't realize before about the actual plan, the request here. So I would ask for a motion to reopen the public hearing.
I make a motion to reopen the public hearing.
Is there a second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great.
So now at this point, you'd be able to ask
Could I take my seat again?
Great.
his intentions with the stone wall.
Yeah.
So, okay, but just so that I'm clear here, the application itself was removal of the trees, installing a gravel driveway so that the egress was a lot better, because I can understand the major concerns between people walking and driving along that road quickly, fast. But the realignment of stone wall that's in the application, can you just explain that more?
Yeah, I didn't put that in, but obviously, if you have a driveway, it has an opening. So part of the wall is going to have to be removed.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to accept the plan that doesn't take into consideration the bike path, we could just make that opening and leave the other part of the wall as is.
I see, okay. But because there's the potential of the shared path that has been
Now,
discussed.
yeah, that wall's going to have to now be realigned.
Yeah.
If you want to keep the wall back onto the, further onto my, I assume onto my property. Yeah.
Which you support.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Doing that.
I have no problem with that.
Okay. All right.
But there's going to be a driveway there, just so you know.
There'll be a break. So there's the intention to move the wall back to accommodate the bike path, have it be basically like it is today with just an opening for the new driveway.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's fine with me,
Okay, but you haven't made any plans about the stone wall itself yet?
No, I don't even know who's gonna do this work, or
Yeah.
I haven't talked to any people about doing the work. The person who made the plans is my brother-in-law, who happens to be a landscape architect in Yarmouth Port, so that was convenient. But that's as far as I've gone.
Does it, I didn't study the plan, does it potentially work that there's room to set back the stone wall to accommodate the bike path? Does that work on your property?
I don't know.
That's like too far out as far as detailed design for the shared use path.
Okay, so that's a big unknown. That's what I'm saying, it's a big unknown.
I mean, we do know that you're gonna need, 8 to 12 feet, right? So that's,
Somewhere in that order.
yeah, so
And what's the
something's
timing?
gonna have to be done.
And what's the timing of that?
Uncertain at this point as far as timing goes.
Years,
Oh, absolutely.
like a decade.
Yeah, we'll all be dead.
Question was like that.
I'm hopeful it'll happen fast, but.
Me too,
in terms of
Sam.
Transportation projects,
Steve, can you scroll down just a little bit? I want to ask Sam something here about the wall portion north of the driveway. No, I'm sorry, scroll up. Yeah. So we've got that section that's going to be clearly removed for the driveway entrance. Would it be too much to ask to have those stones, extend the stone wall down with those stones to the?
Oh, yeah, you mean to the top?
Yeah.
That's fine. I honestly, I don't know, can I?
Please do.
So where this driveway is now, I've lived there for 5 years now, and that was all like overgrowth. It was just invasive. I cleared that out just because it was an eyesore. Even before I thought about building a driveway, I just had to get rid of it. There's still another half to go up to where Morse Road, where my property ends, and you can't see it now, but there's actually a stone wall hidden in there that goes all the way down to the water.
Okay.
That delineates the property. I would love to clear that as well and just expose that.
Yeah.
Just to make it look better. Because can you go back to that other picture? Yeah, see all this right here? This was all covered up when I first moved in. It was all covered up. I cleared it out, but there's a lot more to be done, which I might actually do, just to make it look nice.
I'll give you my address, I got a lot of that can be done.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy, yeah.
I mean, the suggestion of reusing those stones to extend the wall down a little bit may not make any sense if it's going to be in the way of the bike path again. It's just a thought.
Yeah.
And on the other hand.
Yeah.
And if the timeline for bike path is not certain.
And if you look at the rhododendrons that are in the front of the house on that other picture, again, all those, when I first moved in, they were covered in vines. And I exposed all of those, and those look really nice in season. It's really amazing, which those are going to be affected with the bike path as well.
So I have a question, I guess, because I'm thinking out loud here. My thinking out loud now is just to go forward with this project as though there's never going to be a bike path. And then in the future, when there's a bike path, the town would have to deal with the rock wall.
Right. Am I correct in that one of your plans shows the conceptual layout for bike path purely for informational purposes?
Yeah, I don't have any information on what the bike path's going to look like. Final, so it just
And appreciate the consideration of it. It just seems like that could be a very long time in the offing. It's a beautiful street in our town. I would just want to preserve the look of what we can while allowing for your driveway. That's what I would like to see.
And am I correct in understanding that the part of the driveway work, there's some grading that needs to happen? Because as it is right now, grade drops off from Water Street.
Yeah, so there's a retaining wall that has to be built here. You wouldn't, so all this would be landfill. This has to be filled up into the retaining wall, and then it would be graded down the hill, so the retaining wall would be supported both in front and back by landfill, by fill. So then I would just plant grass there, you know, make it look nice, but this is all needing to be landfill. So you can see this wall here goes and it's an L shape to the top.
And the alterations to the stone wall that you would envision as part of this are really within that grading closest to Water Street, right? There's a contour that flares out.
Yeah.
And that would depict, to me, that area within that contour, that's that stone wall there, where Steve has the cursor now. That would be the stone wall that would be altered, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Right. And so you're seeking approval tonight from the planning board to modify, alter, or remove that portion of the stone wall that's necessary for the driveway.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, I really appreciate the additional discussion, because this is very different than what I understood initially we were contemplating. So my thoughts are back to leave as much of it in integrity as we can and open up the part where your driveway needs to come out.
May I ask one more question?
Yes,
please. Would it be possible to salvage the stones that if they were to be removed and possibly incorporate them with the stone wall that's outside the limit of the driveway, or be set aside for future incorporation?
Sure.
Like what, Jeff, were you kind of saying that to?
Yeah, I'm all for that. Like even down, extending the wall as it is. I think it shows the end of the wall there, but I think like there's remnants of a wall that goes all the way to across where Moore Street is, and then it, like I said, there's an L shape. It goes all the way down the property.
Even if you're using the stones that are removed to build up that.
To make it look nice, because if you look at it now, it's run down. I'd build it right back up.
Yep.
Yeah.
So is that, I don't know if I'm out of order here, but condition number 2 would need to be revised to that effect.
Right, and we don't know, or we do know, how much linear feet of stone that is gonna be affected.
It was provided in the application.
It was not, okay, and so do we need to know that before we make a finding in this?
Could we consider just the approval or the finding that portion of the stone wall necessary to support the driveway itself would be necessary?
Okay.
I think that needs a little wordsmithing, but I think you get the idea.
No, not to exceed.
All right. So it sounds like we would be ready to close the public hearing unless anyone has any further questions.
Well, just one. I'm sorry, I didn't get your name.
Jack.
Oh, you're Jack. Okay. You mentioned the other driveway, whether or not I wanted to abandon that. I do not. It does still serve a purpose, or would still serve a purpose. Across the street from me, it's Shawmey Construction. They get a lot of deliveries. Trucks come in. I don't mind them using that driveway to turn around rather than, stopping on Water Street and holding up traffic. So, it serves a purpose there, as well as, any deliveries that come to my house, rather than having to block traffic on 130. So it would serve a purpose beyond that. But the new driveway, make no mistake, would be the driveway that I use and my wife use every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Want me to make a motion?
Yes, that sounds good.
I make a motion to close the public hearing on 44 Water Street.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. So at this time, we can return to planning board decision and deliberations, correct? And so the findings we have had a chance to read through. We can alter them, or are there some suggestions?
I could propose a fifth finding. Stone to be removed for the new driveway entrance will be salvaged and used to extend or repair the remaining stone wall on the premises.
So I just have a procedural, is that a finding or a condition?
We have just findings here.
Yeah, I'm confused.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at condition number 2 where it seems like I don't care, I just want to make sure we put it where it belongs.
I see, yeah, I see your point.
To be enforced, it should be a condition. To be a finding, it's something the applicant offers.
Just an observation, okay.
So even though we've heard that he's supportive of it, we can make it a condition, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I think I was along the same lines, you can take, I was working with Jack's thought. The stone wall shall remain undisturbed with the exception of the removal of no more than X linear feet to allow for the driveway itself. And then your follow-on, stones will be salvaged and used to enhance the existing, something like that.
Okay.
So we wouldn't be able to use linear feet because we don't have that measurement.
Right.
This
We
decision
can't,
has
we
to be-
can't do a not to exceed.
You can't get that from the plan?
That was my,
The applicant can't speak during
Right.
deliberations.
that was a not to exceed.
It can be not to exceed, but you have to put a number on it.
Yeah.
You can't have
Yeah, like, what's the widest driveway allowed in town?
that simple, it all depends on site layout.
Can't we just say the area needed for the opening at this point?
Yeah, that would be more amenable.
Okay, all right.
Do we have a printout of the plan?
We do, and I can pass this here. We have the plans.
I'm comfortable with the less prescriptive way Leanne suggests. I feel like clearly the applicant's trying to work with the town and cares about the appearance of the stone wall in the driveway.
Same number on both.
I feel satisfied.
Why don't we just say the opening?
I know. I mean, I think if we want to get into the, here's what I would sort of add to that. What's that?
Did you hear my comment? Did you hear what I just said?
Oh, no.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Given what I'm very satisfied with Leanne's less prescriptive approach.
Yeah.
Given,
Oh, right.
yeah,
Okay.
I thought you were going back to the linear feet.
No, but I do think it is helpful that the opening be permissible, but that the salvage of those rocks continue to be used, right? So it sort of balances it without needing a linear footage or whatever for the driveway.
Totally satisfied. As long as we're undisturbing the existing except for the driveway and using the stone to enhance.
I just came up with 18 linear feet, but
Okay, I was like,
Sam's gonna check my.
I was not to exceed 20, I was at not to exceed 20, but I'm fine with not prescribing.
20 would be the width of a finished driveway, maximum width of a finished residential driveway at the property line. That would be 20 feet.
Okay.
Okay.
However, I would just point out that the plan under consideration does show grading that continues beyond that. And that was what I was attempting to explain earlier with just saying altering the stone wall within as needed to support the construction of the driveway as shown on the plan.
Okay.
Because I believe that with the grading that's needed and the low.
Yeah, that's fill in there. That's fill, right?
It would essentially either be buried, or the rocks removed and then set aside or incorporated into rock wall elsewhere.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with being less prescriptive numerically. The spirit of the expectation.
All right, so let's take a look at the findings and see if anyone has an additional comment. I know that Jack, you had suggested that there be a fifth regarding the stones, but it sounds like there's a lot of discussion and support to move that suggestion to the conditions of approval, right? Okay. And is there anything else in the findings that anyone wishes to adjust at this point? And it says work proposed, so number 2, work proposed includes alteration, realignment of stone wall within the layout of Water Street.
So So the work proposed includes the driveway and the apron. So that affects Water Street, which is what's the access for jurisdiction under scenic road that involves work on the road.
Right, okay. So
Can we just strike realignment?
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think it's just more like alteration versus realignment.
That's why strike.
Because it's realignment sounds like you're realigning the entire wall.
That's why I want to strike it.
Yeah, great. Okay, I'm in agreement with that. Jack?
Yes, agreed, yep.
The location of the proposed work is within the Town Hall Square National Register. Okay, that's fine. Anyone, right? Mature trees in close proximity to the stone wall and proposed for removal are outside of the road layout. I think that's just a finding that has, okay. And just to draft the conditions before we move on anything, this permit shall lapse if the reconstruction has not been completed. I think we should use the same wording. I don't think that reconstruction really makes sense. So, and I want it to obviously be matching, so it would be if the construction, right, or
Is it proposed work?
okay, can we go back up to findings? We'll make this, I guess, consistent as we can. On number 2, I would suggest that we put the proposed work includes alteration of stone wall. And then that way the conditions could also mimic that language to say, this permit shall lapse if the proposed work has not been completed. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Within 3 years of the date of approval. And then 2, the reconstructed wall shall be set back from the town layout. So the altered wall,
Or are we striking
Yeah,
2
yeah, it
altogether
seems to me
and,
we'd strike
and,
that.
and instead going with 3?
right.
Someone to correct.
Oh, good, okay. All right, undisturbed acceptable.
Stone wall to be removed will be used in extending / repairing existing wall.
So shall remain undisturbed except the portion of the road.
Can make them up.
Does 3 get to your concern, Sam, that there could be a little area outside of the driveway? Like some work around the driveway that would need to be considered with
Right.
stone wall? So there's 3, I think we need to,
Yeah.
not
instead
within
of
the driveway depicted.
Depicted on the plan, we could put for the purpose of the construction of a driveway.
Yeah, something like that.
So the stone wall shall remain undisturbed. You want to change undisturbed? Yeah. Except for the portion.
Not just the portion necessary to construct the driveway.
Yes, except for the portion, that sounds great. Great. Anyone else? Stone to be removed for stone to be removed for entrance shall be salvaged and salvaged and used for any extension or modification of the existing stone wall. Or maybe extension or enhancement of the existing stone wall.
Just trying to get this to,
Oh,
change this to
strike
working, so
through?
it's gonna
Yeah.
disappear, I guess.
Can you,
Extend or repair the remaining stone wall.
if you do a right click, and then maybe we'll do the strike through, since it's not working.
It's not
for
gonna
you.
be the font.
Oh, that's interesting, okay. Maybe because it was a new addition, that's why. So you're trying to change.
Captured by video.
So to be removed for new driveway entrance shall be salvaged and used for any extension or repair, right, Jack?
Enhancement.
I'm flexible on it, yeah. Yeah.
Is it repair enhancement or enhancement, or?
Either one.
That's good.
It's fine. All right. And are there any other conditions? Not it? No one else? Thoughts?
Condition number 2, would we want to keep that it remain on private property and not within the town layout?
Oh, right, there was
Yeah.
There was the bike, the shared path.
Yeah.
Okay.
For the number 2, it says the reconstructed wall should be set back from the town layout. I mean, we can rephrase it, but the new wall should be set back from the town layout.
Right.
Can you say any, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just the reconstructed that I didn't agree
Yeah,
with.
that kind of.
That confuses me.
So what if we just to say, what if it were to say, new wall shall be outside of, rather than de-reconstructed?
I'm confused on what new wall.
The new wall that he is, when he takes down the wall to reconfigure, and that then there's a condition that he's going to then stack to create the wall back, that it's going to go back on his property.
No, there's no wall, the only,
I thought we were doing that.
Unless I
I,
sorry, Mr. Kirsch.
I'm not allowed to say
You're not
anything,
allowed
okay.
at this point,
All right.
okay.
I thought we were leaving the wall as is and just opening it up where the driveway is.
The conversation was that we would add pieces of.
Yeah, I mean,
That's repair.
that's what I thought initially, but where that section of the wall north of the driveway is gonna essentially wind up buried. Looks like there's gonna be 4 feet of fill placed right at that point, so that wall's gonna disappear, so it would be a nice way to recreate that wall by using the stones in that same area, if that's something that Mr. Kirsch was willing to do.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think that's the only way it really works. That portion of the wall, by the way, looks like it is outside of the road layout.
Correct, right.
So it would be good there.
So if any of that stone had to be removed for the grading that was going to occur beyond the driveway entrance, we would want to make sure when it's replaced back, it's placed back on private property, not within the town layout, which was the purpose of that condition.
Okay, that would be required anyway, right? I just want to.
It would not necessarily be.
We don't have.
You could put it on public property. Interesting. Okay.
Depends how it's phrased.
I'm cool with that. Okay.
To be safe.
To be safe, yeah.
So any change to the existing wall footprint would have to be outside of the town, well, whatever I called it, layout.
So, right,
Say
so.
any new constructed wall.
New-
I'm with you.
Constructed wall.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Good catch.
Okay, yeah. Anyone else have any concerns or conditions that we should think about at this time?
I'm good.
So, I think we are able to move forward, and I would then ask for a motion to accept the findings as discussed. Do I need to read them all out?
Okay, that's presented.
And then we can move forward with the vote.
Do we have to change that one sentence where we had the XX linear feet?
Right.
Or do we do that?
That is a good point.
That's administrative. The committee doesn't vote on that
Okay,
process,
so we
so
don't
we
have-
remove
good.
it before signature.
Okay,
Great.
excellent, great, thank you. All right, so I would just ask for a motion to adopt these findings as the findings of the planning board with regard to the 44 Water Street Scenic Road application for purposes of creating a driveway where there is a stone wall.
I, Ann McManus, move to adopt these findings as the findings of the planning board.
Is there a second?
Second.
Now we'll do a roll call vote, right? Or no? No, just vote. Oh, okay, because of our names, it made me think. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none. Motion for the findings carries. this time I would ask for a motion to move to impose the above conditions of approval upon any approval of the permit.
I, Ann McManus, move to impose the above conditions of approval upon any approval of the permit.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? Sorry, I'm getting tired. Or abstentions? Hearing none, motion carries. And now the approval of the scenic road application as a whole. I would ask for a motion that the board approve the scenic road application for the above described stone wall and scenic road permit request with the plan sheet entitled Driveway Plan, Kirsch Residence, number 44, Water Street, Route 130, Sandwich, Massachusetts.
Okay, I, Ann McManus, move the board approve the scenic road application for the above described stone wall with the plan sheet entitled Scenic Road Plan.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Motion carries. And we would have to correct the final language, right? Dated?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's actually not a typo.
It's another.
It's just, the plan's like month 0.
Oh, okay.
We did have.
Oh, right, it does say month 0. Yes, I remember that. I'm sorry. Great. Correct? Is that everything?
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's clear you care about how it looks, so thank you.
Yeah.
No, I do, I think it said the house is 1630 and 1690.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, so just,
Yes.
you know, I don't know, when you're talking 300 years, I don't know,
Yeah.
60 years makes a difference, but yeah. All right.
Well, 1690 then.
Thank you, Mr. Kirsch.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a great evening.
Sam.
Thank you, Aman.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, good night.
Bye. Take care.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is board discussion for the proposed zoning amendments.
So I was gonna offer to the board whether or not we wanted to go through them in detail, but then as I start to go forward with September 2nd, I think we're gonna have a lengthy meeting that night too.
Okay.
So, you know, I think it's whether we do it tonight or we do it September 2nd. If we do it tonight and we agree, we could look to schedule a public hearing at the end of September and hopefully maybe get more community input. We'll do something we normally don't do. We'll post on social media to see if we can get more comment regarding our zoning changes. So if you're willing, I can work through tonight and see just some of the changes that we discussed, and I'm still looking for some input for some of the bylaws.
Great.
Yeah, so just starting then on that first page, we're just, the only thing that actually changed here was we just clarified that, you know, this section that requires to the 5,000 square feet or more is in the absence of a building permit. So if someone's clear cutting a portion of a lot that they did not apply for building permits, it just gives us oversight over to what that is, and then we can go through erosion control with them. This all happens when a building permit is pulled. That's the process currently. We did have discussion over the square footage. I had known that Jack had maybe commented that 5,000 was maybe a little bit too low. Should we go a bit higher? So we're amenable to that. If the board would prefer to have a larger square footage, that would trigger a site plan review process.
I just raised the point because I thought it was worth discussing a little bit. I mean, is there a reason why 5,000 was determined to be the
We just looked at really what's the smallest lot in town that you could build on. Our smallest lots are 5,000 square foot pre-zoning lots. There's not that many left, but if the merger doctrine ever gets more lenient, we could see some unmergers occur. We saw that with the 10,000 square foot lots. So we're kind of thinking of just clear cutting for lot size in general. So that's where it derived from. But I mean, right now that doesn't exist. 10,000 would be the unmerger currently. So we could go larger to something like that. You know, or I don't know if Sam has any input, but just in terms of runoff, if 5,000 is an amount that would cause any type of, I suppose it really depends on the topography of the lot.
Yeah, there's too many factors to generalize like that.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about someone that would own a piece of property that might want to put in a garden, for instance, it's very unlikely that they would disturb 5,000 square feet, right? I don't know, it's probably fine at 5,000. I just wanted to throw it out there for discussion.
Okay with it.
I'm fine also, yeah.
So we'll move forward with 5,000. Then everything else in that section is the same. We didn't change anything from what we presented last time for any of the erosion control or any of that vegetated cover. So if that part's all fine, it's still satisfactory, we can move on to the EADUs.
Before we go on, Leanne, and I know this probably has nothing to do with this bylaw, but if you strike me, will we ever review like the subdivision bylaws?
The rules and regulations? Yeah, we did the last one in 2018, and it was substantial.
I guess the word that leaped out at me, and I was like, gee, is there a way we can avoid this problem in the future? Astrid Lane or Astrid Road, the surety issue?
Oh, from speaking with council, it is a flaw in the subdivision control law at the state level. We do as much protection as we can possibly do.
So there's nothing we could do to avoid that?
I mean, not lawfully. We have talked about only wanting cash surety, and council pounced that back and said, you know, we have to be offered other types. It's actually the applicant that decides. You know, there's items that we've done to try and scrutinize the process as best we can, so that these issues don't occur. But unfortunately, it is almost a process flaw within the subdivision control law.
Okay. It just leaped out at me and I thought I'd ask. Okay, thanks.
Okay, so then for expanded accessory dwelling units, you know, the same kind of questions from last time. We discussed lot size, meaning, so with this one, 40,000 square feet is just under an acre. It's our minimum lot size in a residential 1 district. We require 40,000 for a single family. So in this case, we thought that was maybe appropriate sizing for adding an additional, because you could get a protected use ADU and also an expanded use ADU. So we wanted to make sure the lot size could hold essentially 3 dwellings. And then the other question was really just about size, because I know we kind of went back and forth. You asked me to look at permits to see the sizes, which it was a little bit challenging because they were done with habitable space. So I had to just take the measurements and, you know, figure out the gross square footage of each. Some were actually as small as 700, but those were for very specific uses that someone wanted to use it for. And then we kind of went as high as 1,100 in some cases. That was the majority. I think there might have been 1 or 2 that hit that 12, 13, but that wouldn't have been the majority, but they did on some of the larger lots, because they all had to be subservient to the home in that bylaw too. So I guess the question really is, do we want to have a cap, or do we want to just have it at a percentage of the gross floor area of the main dwelling? You know, I think that was the conversation last time. I think Jennifer was the one who wanted to have some type of cap, that it could be 80%, but no bigger than. And I know we were struggling to come up with what that number would be.
Right, so that essentially the primary residence doesn't end up being kind of
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that we have with the 80%, right? So the 80% would satisfy that, and then is there a square foot cap as well?
right. 1,200 square foot of times 4 area.
Just procedural question.
Smaller.
If we put in a square foot cap and some situation arose, do we have an ability to make an exception?
We can add it, we can change the language and add it as a special permit criteria that you would decide what size.
And it's already under special permit anyway.
It's under a special permit. I would have to expressly authorize that. So I'd have to write a sentence that said, you know, no larger than, unless, and then you should have a criteria that has to be met in order to go larger, if you were to do it that way. So then the board could kind of look at site design or neighborhood impacts, but it's just, when you get into that, it's kind of, you have to be very careful not to be arbitrary in your decision making.
Right.
It has to be defensible.
Yeah. I'm just thinking through that a little bit because, yeah, I could see, let's say you have a lot size is 40,000 and they have the by right and they move forward with that, but also with the EADU, then if there was another, conditional permitting to get something larger, I think, Jack, you had mentioned maybe 1,500. What that would, I mean, potentially then we could be in a situation where, like, it's I think some people, like, would that be consistent? Would that be easily consistent to go case by case basis on these conditions, and would that potentially be defensible, like you said, you know?
I think it would be challenging. I think you're better to stick with a ratio, whether you cap it or don't cap it. But I think it'd be challenging to do a case-by-case basis. You'd have to be very strong in your rationale.
Right.
If we know it doesn't happen as organically, if a neighbor comes before you is upset about a specific circumstance, it kind of gets a little bit messy. So I mean,
So was your recommendation just 80%?
I mean, I think you should maybe discuss a cap so that, you know, if you have like a very large 6,000 square foot home, you're not going to have essentially another principal dwelling on the lot. I think there should be some, maybe maximum, but I think if we were to go that route, we should maybe start with the largest the board's comfortable with, and then as we go throughout the public process, you know, you can ask the residents what they would like to see that would fit their needs.
Yeah, of course, anything that we propose is going to go before town meeting. There'll be discussion at that point that could very well wind up with a lower number.
Yeah, or just through the public hearing process.
Right.
Typically, once it's advertised, you can be more restrictive, not less. So, you know, I would almost start with a cap of 1,500 square feet and see what the community thinks. You can always restrict it later, or you can feel that it's warranted.
Yeah, I mean, I like 1,500 square feet only because it aligns us with our neighboring town, right? That's what they're allowing.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel comfortable with the 1,500.
And the whichever is smaller, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah, you wouldn't want.
1,500 square foot house, you're not going to get a 1,500 square foot ADU also. You get 80% of the floor area.
And the 80% numbers, where did that come from? Is that just
trying to see what would be subservient. I mean, you can change that to 85 or 75 or whatever you think.
I was going to suggest 75 just as a way to, you know, control the size of these things to a certain extent, make sure it's subservient. But
yeah, I think we would definitely just want the appearance to look. So 20% less than the main structure was kind of where we were. It was the same gross floor area for both structures.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's up for discussion too.
Sure. I'm comfortable with 80% and 1,500 to go in.
Me too.
See where we wind up from there.
Yeah.
That was all. Did I add in one more? We struck the bedroom count because that wasn't really necessary because it's going to be limited per Title V and for just the size in general. The off-street parking, we have the existing driveway, primary residence. And then I'll just change that to 1,500 for the definitions. So then that would pretty much just be our expanded accessory dwelling unit.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem. So then the next one is the affordable housing development. So I had sent you some pictures from our community just to try and get a handle on what I mean by density per acre. What we're proposing is 4 units per acre. So this is a cottage colony where you would see 7 units per acre with 162 feet of frontage. So you kind of see what that layout is. If units are smaller, how that would look. And then you can kind of see what we're proposing for density at 4 units per that slide. You know, if you were to do this, smaller 1 to 2 bedroom units, that definitely hits our housing goals, especially for rental housing and lower bedroom count for our housing production plan. And then I added this one. This is a completely different use. So obviously this is a transient use. This isn't a year-round use. But something like this under the bylaw could be converted to year-round housing. You know, it would have to meet building codes and onslaught of other regulations. But for something that size, you could potentially, under this bylaw, then reconfigure it into small unit year-round housing. And Steve, if you just, I can't read the top, sorry. Yeah, so 24 units, so that's on 2.21 acres. So it's a larger site. They added those 2 buildings by special permit to create an additional 6 units. And that's right on 6A that you would drive past. And then I think the last one is another cottage colony that we have in town. So we have several of these cottage colonies. And I think this is like the style of development when we think of pocket neighborhoods and just inserting onto that 1 to 2 acre site a handful of units that could just help our affordable housing goals and help create a different variety of housing. So this again, 11 units on 1 acre. So that's basically 1 unit per, just under every 4,000 square feet. But frontage, 10-foot setbacks. So that's just kind of an idea of what are some of the land use patterns that currently exist. And then I did link to Union Studios, which is, they're new urbanists. They did our plan here in Sandwich for South Sandwich Village. We're working on phase 2 of that now, which will be before the board at some point. But they also have just done this throughout the state. There's several Cape examples. They've had to use Chapter 40B, affordable housing, for a lot of this, but this is the type of design that we could get through traditional conventional zoning if we were amenable to relaxing some of our dimensional requirements.
So, I like the concept, but can you explain to me how the zoning would kick in on this? I mean, are we talking about establishing certain districts in town where this would be allowed, or is this?
Well, so that's up to the board. It's up for your consideration as to whether you want to overlay a district onto certain areas of town, whether this is town-wide, whether you restrict it enough within its first iteration that you're only seeing a handful of developments. I mean, there's a lot of restrictions to this, to develop in and of itself anyways. It's costly. With Title V requirements, building code requirements, larger buildings need to be sprinkled. So I don't think we're going to get an onslaught of development of this nature, but to protect the community, we talked about capping how many we would allow a year.
Right.
And we could start off slower.
Or just do like reconstruction, right, versus like new?
Well, if you want to go into it, so it does discuss, it incentivizes the repurposing of existing structures. Like you can get more density if you repurpose. Then if you're just providing 4 units, we relax a little bit on roadway construction and utilize shared driveways. And then if you're going above that, you need to do a full subdivision plan. So you're creating more of a smaller neighborhood. But I guess one of the first questions is how many do we want a year? We should put a cap.
I started thinking about that. So let's say we got 5 in 1 year and somebody comes in and wants to do a 6th. And to me, I would hate to stop an appropriate just because of an arbitrary number that was selected. So I don't know, what's the reality? Is the reality that we're gonna get 5 in 1 year? That we have the cap?
I'd be lucky to get 2.
Yeah, I know, so I don't know. To me, I'd hate to lose that 6th one if we've only approved a cap of 5.
Yeah. I mean, we did that with the accessory dwelling units. We capped at 25. We never came close any year to 25 permits.
Right.
It
So
was
to
more
make
just
it
a
higher, maybe,
safeguarding. Yeah.
to make it higher, to pick a number like 25? Or would that be just too crazy?
What could we handle? Like what could we process?
What this board could handle, or what the town could
What the
handle?
town could handle.
Yeah.
Depends on the scale.
Right. I mean, these are pretty small living units, right? They're one person, maybe a couple. That's it, right? So it's not like we're going to be overburdening the schools with these, right? They're not really intended for families.
It's the missing gap for us is workforce housing, generally single people, elderly wanting to downsize. That's the gap. We're kind of missing these 2 ends. Kids out of college wanting to create a life here. We're predominantly single family homes. And a lot of people, if they move into a different type of structure, they free up the single family homes for families. So the intent isn't necessarily more family living, although we would never prohibit that, but just the size of them when you're trying to create smaller pockets of neighborhoods with mixed income levels.
I love the concept. I think we ought to be providing housing for these people. Really see the traffic of workers coming onto the Cape every morning. It's crazy.
Good point.
Right. Yeah, I think it's the last numbers, reported were like easily over 50% of the workforce is traveling every day from off Cape.
Yeah.
So that carbon footprint, very detrimental. Okay, so do we feel like we need a cap?
I mean, that's a good question, because, I mean, like Anne said, do we want to prohibit somebody who's then coming in as the,
So for the sake of discussion, let's just assume that, the assumptions, don't disrespect at all. The assumption is incorrect, and that these things are gonna be hugely popular, and people are gonna, it's just be an explosion of tiny homes built around Sandwich, right? So there probably ought to be some kind of control established, either by an overlay district or, a max yearly, but, I mean, I doubt it's gonna happen, but who knows?
Just in case, right, maybe 10. Just thinking of how much we could do in a year. I mean, that's probably a lot on municipal staff to.
Well, that's really was my question. How much can the staff really support development of?
You know
Yeah,
better than anyone.
if it was 10 a year, I mean, that's one a month nearly.
right, yeah.
Which is intense.
Yeah.
So maybe 5 is more accurate.
What about that sixth one that comes in?
Okay, how about 6? How about 6?
January 1st.
That's right, I mean, it's not like they can't get it, they just have to wait till the following year.
They might go to
They might
board
go,
to do
so they
it.
might go to board, that's true. And what does any of our neighboring towns have a limit on these? No.
No, it's kind of a uniquely Sandwich thing. Scattered breath bylaws, we've capped development a lot. Just in anticipation of what could happen, see how things work.
Okay.
Because then we have to continue to do that.
Right, the cap could always.
The cap could always go away.
Right.
I mean, typically, we usually see bylaws in action for 3 to 4 years, and then we're back before the planning board to ask for an amendment for something unseen.
Yep.
How about 10? I know it'd be a lot, but I don't think it's gonna happen, so.
I would be surprised if we got 10. I think maybe if sewer becomes available at any point, we might come back shorthand to limit. And any would, because Title 5 is really going to restrict what we can do.
Yes, right.
So 10, is that where we're kind of landing?
10 and we hold our breath.
Yeah.
8.
No, 10.
10. All right, I'm comfortable with that.
But what about 11?
I was at 7.
I can sacrifice the 11 if we get the 10.
Leanne's gonna be calling you for some help in the office.
I'll volunteer.
Well, it is a good point, because there is a lot of talk about like the whole tiny home movement, and people are selling those. I mean, you still have to take into consideration all the other.
There is a differentiation between a smaller unit versus a tiny home, and it's a big differentiation in the building code. And I don't know enough about the building code to talk to you about it, but it's not a tiny homes bylaw.
Right, yeah. It's not. No,
that would be something completely separate.
Yeah.
But it is a smaller unit, so you could
smaller,
like
cottage
core.
Cottage communities.
Yeah.
Yes.
Revitalizing some existing vacant buildings. Okay, so then. So 10 developments a year. Okay, then how many units per development? So previously, this bylaw said no more than 40 units in a total development. That does seem high for what we're trying to achieve here. So maybe 20 was what I was more in line with thinking, that you wouldn't go over 20 units in development.
Mm-hmm. That was my gut.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
I'm good with that too.
I think just finding the land area for that anyways is going to be challenging to even create 20 units.
That's 200 units next year.
Yeah. So not much changed here. Got rid of minimum lot size, because we're going to do a density of how many units per acre. Minimum lot size requirement doesn't also, it just doesn't make sense at the same time.
Okay.
So if it's going to be the density of 4 units, and it won't be per acre, it'll be per 40,000 square feet. Just to remain consistent.
Okay.
So you kind of saw all of the examples I showed were denser than 4 units per acre, but I think that this is probably more digestible to
the town.
Yeah.
And it is probably in line with the character a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Versus like the Hyannis City.
Yeah, which is not, we're trying to create, traditional land use patterns that occur in Sandwich, not necessarily any other community, and keep our existing patterns and make sure that we're able to institute, smaller developments that aren't gonna have a big bearing on towns,
Right.
roads, traffic.
Schools, law enforcement.
Yeah. Okay, so then as we get into setbacks, okay, I did reduce these quite a bit, just seeing how the other ones were gonna be able to interact. It really just depends on the site, so front yard setback 15 feet. A lot of our college colonies are pretty close to the front setback. I mean, this is all up for discussion, what you think. Building separation currently in the zoning bylaws is 12 feet. Side and rear setbacks at 10 feet. I don't know if that one's a little bit too low. To go in beside a single family home, how would they feel at a 10-foot setback? We could increase that.
I think without a defined area where these are going to be allowed, then you would want to expand that side yard setback, because I could see, unless I'm wrong, I don't see anything in this proposed bylaw that prohibits these things from cropping up in subdivisions, right? If somebody has an acre undeveloped lot and wants to put a cottage colony in.
Yeah, it depends
can only
on
have
the
4
subdivision.
yeah,
We have
really.
some funny covenants
Well,
on our
without an
subdivisions.
HMO or a.
Yeah, or even just some of the permissions that were granted when the subdivision was created. We ran into this with ADUs a lot, that it said it shall not contain another dwelling space that the planning board instituted years ago. So I always have to check to make sure it's allowed.
Yes.
But potentially, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so without that, I could see a situation where a neighbor might object to one of these being popped in a residential subdivision.
Okay.
And in that case, probably a larger side and rear setback would be appropriate. 25 feet maybe.
So we could do it almost like we do a cluster. A cluster has a scale. It has a minimum and a maximum. And then the board decides it.
Really? Okay.
Some are set, and some are, 15 to 25.
Yeah.
We can do that, and then it's a discussion.
Right.
I like that.
That sounds like a good idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's currently in cluster. I can add that. That's just something, maybe a scale. Okay, so if we did front yard and side and rear, we could do both, starting at 15 and up to 25. And building separation is pretty standard. Road frontage, 150. Jonathan Finch has spoken to me multiple times during the week, trying to ask that we reduce frontage to 0. I'm not 100% comfortable doing that, because I think there's a purpose for road frontage. The comment I put in was that frontage requirements may be reduced by the special permit granting authority, which will be the planning board, upon a finding that access and safety requirements are determined to be sufficient.
Okay.
He still felt that this wouldn't create situations where it would reduce it to 0. Because I'm not expressly stating that it will. And I just, I think that's up to consideration for the board, is would we want landlocked properties accessing, or do we want to just, have the wherewithal to say we can reduce the frontage requirement, if we can meet these standards, but not necessarily to 0.
I'm not sure I understand Walnut, because I don't know how you'd have 0 frontage. I mean, you're accessing through some other road?
You're getting
You could require an easement across
Right.
someone else's
Okay.
land to get to it.
Okay. And why isn't that okay?
It presents quite a few issues. It's new urbanists push this idea of 0 frontage. I don't know that we're there or ready for it yet.
I'm just trying to understand it. I don't understand it well, because if you have an easement,
Isn't there a little bit of like an issue right now, even in Sandwich and Forestdale, where there's like Paradise Farms, and so then there's this like neighborhood behind it, and what has occurred is that everybody has like this easement for access, except there's a lot that nobody can do anything behind it, and it has no easement to the public road, and they're all landlocked. And now there's like, it's very difficult because no developer wants to buy this land that is down the street from my house. that because there's no frontage, because the adjacent property owns all of the one side of the frontage, and then the other side is this neighborhood that has easements to get onto the public road, but not this particular lot. So you could run into problems where you completely landlock a property, and then they have, you know, in the future have no way to, that's my, I guess, my roundabout way of saying I have concerns.
I don't think that's.
About zero.
Yeah, I have concerns about zero too, but not for the same reason. I think, you know, there's nothing wrong with having landlocked parcels that can't be developed. I think open space is important, right?
Right.
So I agree, I don't like going to zero. I think that opens a Pandora's box, but having some ability to reduce the frontage for certain circumstances does make sense.
I think the lot had 120 or something.
Right,
That was
yeah.
kind of what I was referring to, but, you know, I promised them I would bring it up. I don't know that we're there yet. I think it would need a lot more investigation. I think it would need a separate bylaw by itself and be very specific as to what we were targeting. We'd also probably want to do an inventory of the existing landlocked parcels that could be utilized for development.
Is that his point, to unlock
the landlocked properties?
parcels?
Yes.
That's what, okay.
Okay, so I'll just keep it as is then. And you like that you could reduce it upon finding?
Yes.
So you'd be looking to, you know, Sam and the fire department for guidance on whether it should be reduced or not.
Yep.
Okay. And then pretty much the rest of it was pretty much the same. What did I take out? So I changed 4455. So we would want any developer to follow the HLC, the new DHCD, for progress on how to get them as local action units. So that would be all the paperwork that we'll be filling out for the deed restrictions. So that changed since the bylaw was first enacted. But other than that, it was pretty much the same as when we presented previously.
Awesome, thank you.
In terms of next steps, if you're comfortable with it, we would be scheduling a public hearing for the second meeting in September. That would be the closest one that we could do, because we have to have 3 weeks of newspaper circulation.
Okay.
And we would do some outreach to the public to try and get them here, or also maybe by email, and we can bring them to the board's attention if people want to submit comments.
Not that it really matters, but I was gonna let the board know that I'm not gonna be around on the 16th.
Me neither.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Me neither.
So maybe first meeting in October?
We could do the first meeting in October, yeah. Yeah. Do you think it'll run into 2 meetings? I'm trying to think, the second, if we have we're not even sure if we're having a fall town meeting, the select board has not decided. Okay. I'm hoping we will have one.
Right, I think that was our hope too.
So, you know, if we do, it's usually between Veterans Day and Thanksgiving, which means I would need to be letting the select board know of our final articles mid-October.
Mid-October, okay.
So I think we would have to take a meeting out of order if we wanted to do an additional night of hearings.
That's okay.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Gives you a little more time to ramp up the social media campaign.
Yes, exactly. Because I don't like going to town meeting and people say, I didn't even know this was happening.
But it sounds like there'll be 2 people for sure that won't be available on the 16th, and and it'd be worthwhile, I think, for us to have everybody.
Yeah, usually when we're voting on zoning, we like to see as full of board as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
And
Okay.
if you don't have much public input, you could be voting there and then that first night.
Mm-hmm.
We always like to give the option for an additional night, so people can think and come back, but
Okay. Great.
we haven't had to use that in years.
Leanne, do you want to speak about the Community Preservation Committee?
Sure. So Jeff Picard, a previous planning board member, was the representative from the planning board to the Community Preservation Committee. The CPA, Community Preservation Act, it is a surcharge on property taxes, currently at 2%. It's on all of our tax bills in the town, and it goes to 4 different categories of funding, and a committee oversees how that money gets spent. They make recommendations to the select board put it on the warrant, it gets voted at town meeting. So the categories are affordable housing, recreation projects, open space acquisitions, and historic preservation. Thank you. It's getting late. So those are the categories. It is a 9-member board. There's 5 members that are appointed by the Board of Selectmen, and then there's others from Planning Board, Conservation Commission, Recreation, Housing. So we are looking for a member.
And do you know the meeting schedule for them?
Yes, I am the liaison to the committee. We only meet when necessary. So we meet the first Monday of the month. It will be so once a month, but we do not meet the summer months, and we only meet if there's business. So we met last in June, and that was just to reorganize the board. And then the last time we met after that was February. So typically you get maybe 5 meetings a year. It's one of the relatively low needs of the community. So it's only if there's money before you. But the fund, all the playgrounds were done with that fund. Terrapin Ridge, some money was done with that, for that affordable housing project, Wing School. So it funds some really great projects. If anyone's interested.
I'm interested. I've got a standing commitment on first Monday of the month.
Okay.
As do I.
With the Conservation Trust, but
Yeah.
I'd be willing to do it,
Great.
unless you can change your meeting.
I might be able to, Ann.
Okay, well, why don't you check that?
Let me-
Do you have to know tonight?
I don't have to know tonight, no. Why don't you let me know?
I really am interested, so let me see what I can do.
Okay, yeah. That sounds great. And then at the next meeting, we'll put it back on the agenda and the board will just have to take a formal vote.
Sure.
I gotta present it to the select board then.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, we are almost there. Voting time. Okay, so the meeting schedule, there's a revision.
So no more elections that usually conflict, or they usually result in the planning board meetings being suspended. So we'll have 2 additional meeting dates that are in a revised schedule that Lee was provided for you.
Okay. And we're done the deliberations that were needed. So any other matters not reasonably anticipated? No? Okay, hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Nicely done, people.